QI, where tonight we're playing for keeps. Keeping his eye on the ball, Jason Manford. Keeping her ear to the ground, Sarah Millican. Keeping his nose to the grindstone, Bill Bailey. And keeping his pecker up in spite of everything, Alan Davies. Keeping the peace, everything on track, and the score. So, Jeepers Creepers, let's hear your peepers. Jason goes... Keep on moving. Sarah goes... Keep on running. Keep on hiding. Bill goes... Keep on rocking. Keep on rocking. Yeah. Nice. Nice. And Alan goes... We'll keep nice. The voice of your forefathers there, the ancestors, isn't it? Keeping a welcome in the inside, isn't that? So, before we start...
Were they Pakistani?
Stop it. Stop it right now. I'm going to lay down the law. Like the teacher's first day at school, he's strict just so that people are afraid of him.
Yes.
Authority's got to be laid down. I'm not going to have it right.
Yes. How's that going?
Oh, sir, trying to get all umpteen.
Yes.
Before we start.
Mocking my Welsh accent.
Northern Europe. From Cape Town. Welcome to the valleys in Cardiff.
This is my accent. You stop halfway through, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Yes.
He's gone all street now. Yeah, I stop halfway through, innit? That's like that.
Right, OK, all right.
Stephen Fry, yeah, QI, that's it.
Anyway, an easy K-series question to start us going. I still think in pounds and ounces, but what unit does modern science use to measure weight?
Kilograms?
Oh, there you go.
First word, kilograms, no. What does kilogram weigh?
2.2 pounds.
What does it measure, I need to say? What does a kilogram measure?
Weight.
Weight.
No.
Water.
Kilograms.
Measures water.
Water.
Grams?
No.
Rucksacks.
There are 1,000 grams in a kilogram, but what is it actually measuring?
In my case, a crying lady.
What quantity, what aspect of a thing or an object? Is
Hatred. Hatred and
measured?
vileness. Bile. Sarcasm. I don't know. Perversion.
No.
Mass. Valiant.
Mass!
It's
Mass.
How many points did you get for that?
A few. Yeah. You, I'm afraid, get taken away a few.
I don't mind.
That's it. You're in minus already.
But you can get your points back if you can tell me what weight is measured in.
So this is the time I shouldn't say kilograms again?
Yeah, it doesn't begin with
okay.
K. No.
No.
Anyone in the audience?
What?
They're good, our audience is better than the average, let's be honest. Newtons is the answer.
Newton.
I was just going to say that.
You were going to say it.
Say it now, Edit. Say it now.
Keep on rocking. Newtons.
The time you said it, they're Oldtons on the show.
Oh, yeah. See what you did there.
No, the weight is the force resulting from gravity of mass, and that is how it acts on the Earth, is weight. And, of course, it varies according to the amount of gravity.
That's right.
Which is why it's not a constant, which is why... You know,
varies.
so if you're in a lift, even, you weigh slightly less. I know it sounds weird, you weigh slightly less when you're dropping and slightly more when you're going up. If you stood on scales, if you were using them for weight.
On the scales in my bathroom, when the batteries start going, because it's only got 3 digits, it says, it starts the word error, so it says ERR. But every time you get on it, everything just goes...
It's like them not really wanting to tell you. How much away?
I don't have bathroom scales, I've just got kitchen scales.
Well, you could
But I have measured bits of me on them.
guess which bit.
The left one's heavier.
Is it? By how much?
Some newtons.
Very good. The kilogram is the only metric measure that still relies on a physical object, which is called the International Prototype Kilogram. And where do you think it's kept?
Is it kept in the National Physics Laboratory?
The National Physical Laboratory? No, it isn't.
The Queen.
There is
the Queen.
a replica of it in
Has
the
it?
National Physical Laboratory.
Yeah.
Here is...
Geneva. Everything's in
There you go.
Oh, it's there.
Do we have Ian Robinson from the National Physical Laboratory? No, he's raising his hand. Hello. This belongs to you, yes?
It belongs to NPL, yes.
And this is a replica of the original IPK, yeah?
It's the same size, but it weighs 400 grams rather than...
Weighs or has mass
It's
of?
massive.
Yeah. You're a liar. And this is what's inside the case. It's so incredibly susceptible to either adding weight to it or taking weight away. The acidity of the fingers, the addition of dust. The original is, well, where did the metric system originate?
Built Wells. I don't know, France.
France, you do know.
Of course,
You know. So it's actually outside Paris, near Sèvres, where the porcelain comes from. It's made out of platinum iridium, and they're worried that it's put on the weight of a small grain of sand over the period since it was first made in 1879. So they're going to change. They're going to change next year, possibly, or 2014, to using Planck's universal quantum constant instead of the
Thank God
physical
for that.
quantum. Yeah. Then they won't have to worry about bits of dust.
What a worry as well, yeah.
Yeah, what a worry.
What a worry.
Thank you, Ian Robinson, and the National Physical Laboratory.
Thank you very much. Is there different parts of the world you could go and weigh more or less if you went to areas of great...
America, we'd all weigh less there, wouldn't we?
And light, how much does light weigh? And does sound weigh more than light? If you had a bit of sound there and a bit of light, you wouldn't do that. No. No, that's a bit suggestive, really, isn't it?
Can you get in the bed before you put the light out?
Ah, that's true, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep. Yes.
Turn the light switch on and then get into bed before it went dark.
Oh, yes.
It's difficult, but it can be done.
It can.
Muhammad Ali said that, didn't he? He said he was so fast he could get into bed before the light went off. Yeah, and I think someone said, just get a bedside light.
I just wanted those ones.
Yeah.
Oh, one of
So you
those.
can clap when you're in bed, and who doesn't like that?
Ah, yes, but when... Ah, that's very interesting, then, because then you see what the sound...
Just turn the camera off.
What's that?
You just turned the camera off. Could you do two? Could you do two now? Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
We used the same system. We didn't expect anybody to clap.
What just happened?
You turned the camera off by clapping.
Just the whole universe, just...
You're back again now. That's it. Don't clap.
What would happen
If...
No, I'm just saying it was rhetorical. I was just saying... There's a question. What would happen, Stephen? Discuss.
Yeah. Let's see whose house it is. Now, we were talking about bits and bytes. What is a kilobyte, in fact? How many bytes in a kilobyte?
1,000.
1,000.
10,000? 100,000. I want 1 million.
No, it's a... It's
9.
No.
I just like to be different.
42.
Anyone in the audience? Oh, the audience gets a big penalty. Unfortunately, our team
In your face!
Our team isn't intelligent enough to know the wrong answer. You thought it was 2 to the 10, which is 1,024. But actually, according to the International Electrotechnical Commission, it is now 1,000, as you said, is the right answer. It's 1,000 bytes.
So I beat all those people, then?
You did, by sheer fluke.
Didn't you say 10, 100, 1,000? You did.
You started with
Quite a lot of
1,000.
bases. You did start with 1,000. And there is a new word for 1,024, which is a kibibyte, which is rather pathetic.
come
I know.
They're just being silly now, aren't they?
But it's IEC standard 6027-2. There you go. I'm sorry about that. It's not my fault.
No,
It
I'm not
happens to
blaming
be.
you, Stephen. It's just...
I know. Now then, finders keepers, losers weepers, right?
That's the rules.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Oh, what? Hey, you tricked me!
You could have said no.
That's a dirty trick, Fry.
You've done this programme long enough to know that dirty tricks are
I didn't think that even you would stoop
so
that low.
well, I did.
How dare you?
It doesn't work in law. If you find lost property and don't make reasonable steps to discover the person to whom it belongs, then that's the crime of theft by finding.
So how does this apply to if you're in the supermarket, right? And you put some fresh herbs in, and you're walking around, all oblivious, thinking no one's going to, mess with your head, and then before you get to the checkout, someone's nicked the herbs out of your trolley, and you go back, and then there's none left. That's a dirty trick.
It is.
this happened
just
today.
immoral, bad citizenship.
But it's not technically theft.
No, that's not theft, is it? It's bad citizenship, because they weren't yours until you'd paid for them.
No. So they were morally
If they
mine.
took them after you'd paid, they were morally yours. I'd agree with you.
How urgent were the herbs?
Well, look, there was a chili con carne that was ruined because
If you
the garnish, at least.
If you decked that lady, I don't blame you.
Yes.
Smashed her around the gizzard.
Smacked around the head with a tin of tomato. Don't do it again!
She's learnt her lesson.
Yes.
So technically, with that rule, is if someone's done their full shop and they're right at the end, and then they've just wandered off for a tin or something, you can go, right, I'll have that.
That would be so immoral, because you've
That's
sort of
vile.
stolen their time.
Actually do that.
So you just
Worst thing in the
follow
world.
somebody around the shop who looks like they might like what you like.
Yeah.
This is a wholly different question. I never asked. Bill raised it. It's nothing to do with...
It's a very important point.
It is
I'm
an
just
interesting
applying this
ethical
ancient
issue.
law to the modern day context.
So you find something on the bus or you know, on the street,
Yeah,
and you...
or if, for example, you're a dry cleaner and you find a £20 note in a pair of trousers that's taken in, you don't think, oh, I can keep that.
Well, that definitely is theft, because you know whose trousers
Exactly.
they are.
Yeah.
But, like on the
but
bus
also,
or
if you
something.
found a lottery ticket on the floor and then it was a winning number and you cashed it in and it wasn't yours, you would be committing a crime.
But you wouldn't care, though, would you?
Yes, you would. Because it would be taken
You'd
away
be a
from you.
millionaire.
You wouldn't be paid. You wouldn't get the money. You'd go to court.
How, though? How would they know?
They'd know because of the number and the time it was bought and the shop it was bought from.
CCTV.
So in 2009, a Wiltshire couple got an 11-month suspended sentence for doing exactly that. They cashed a winning lottery ticket.
Oh.
I used to work in a cinema, and anything that was found on the floor in the screens, sort of depending on what it was.
Yeah.
So if it was an umbrella, it would go on lost property. If
Yeah.
it was a £1 coin, it would just, you know, the guy, whoever would
Conveniently
just...
disappear.
Exactly, yeah. But there was one time that a pair of used pants were found. And they sort of took them out on a stick and they didn't really know what to do with them. And then 2 weeks later, they got a letter from a man saying, I was in the 11:20 showing of Titanic in Screen 6 on the 23rd of February, and I appear to have left my pants. Could you return them to me in the jiffy bag provided?
I don't know. I don't think I'd have put them in a jiffy. If it were the used pants,
No.
they would have got in some sort of one of those things they put nuclear waste in. Lead-lined
casket.
casket. Yeah.
Well, it is true that if you haven't made reasonable attempts to find something, well, you know that it's morally wrong.
It
and
behoves
also
you to
is
do the right thing.
Yeah, we hope you will. But if property is deliberately abandoned, you can keep it. Now, let's have a round of keep still or scarper. I'm going to show you some dangerous animals, and I want you to tell me what you should do. Stand your ground or skedaddle for the hills, all right?
Okay.
So, let's start with the first animal. Here it is, it's a snake. With a snake, should you keep still or scarper?
Keep still.
Why?
Because you're so terrified. The snake will not attack a moving object.
In which case, you'd say you should move.
What?
You said it won't attack a moving object.
It will attack.
Right.
It will attack a moving object.
It actually forgets you're there if you stand still.
Yeah.
It would just ignore you.
I get that a lot.
It's like being married. Does it depend on how fast you run? Because if you can
They
outrun
can
it...
strike very quickly, and if you're close to it, just the act of turning to run would like that. If you
really?
felt threatened.
Okay.
But certainly the best thing to do is just simply stand stock still, and then nothing happens.
Well, you'd feel a fool if you stood still and then it bit you anyway. wouldn't
You would!
Your mobile went off or something.
That's true. Keep
true,
your mobile.
yeah.
Don't have your mobile on vibrate. That would be the worst part. They have a marvellous sense of vibration.
Yeah.
OK, our next ones. Let's have a look at this little trio. Harmonising.
Aw.
Ha ha, you say, they can tear you to pieces. 3 of a wolf pack, a wild...
When they finish their song.
So should you keep still? Should you keep still or scarper? Yes, Jason.
I'm going to say Scarper.
I'm afraid not. No,
No.
you should know. They are coursing predators. They actually tear and eat things on the run. So that's how they like to eat. You should just shout, throw stones, pebbles, whatever, and then back slowly away, and you'll be fine.
Shout at what?
Like that. Throw things.
I'm terrified.
They're not used to that behaviour.
And the wolves,
I asked.
they just back away, going, he's mental.
So what do you do with a monkey? Keep still or scarper?
Nice, isn't it?
Well, just reason with it.
How
Sign language.
Keep still.
Yes, but not dead still. There's a particular open-mouthed,
Like dancing?
open-lipped
No.
thing that you do. You bare your teeth.
Yeah.
A round mouth, bare your teeth.
And you just
round.
keep shaking around like that.
That's it.
Oh,
Raise
by
your
the time
eyebrows.
I've done it, he's
And
killed
raise
me.
your eyebrows.
And do that.
That's it. Show your teeth. Raise your eyebrows.
What does that
It's good. You have monkeys, don't you?
Yes, we have golden-handed tamarins.
Oh, lovely. Are these?
Did you have them round
they
your
live in the
house?
house easily?
They live in the house, yeah.
Wow.
Do they?
Yeah, we don't let them out.
Are they house trained?
Yes, of course.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think it was Jane Goodall discovered that when you try and house train a chimpanzee, their intelligence is of a different order, and it's kind of smart but stupid. And she had these chimpanzees, and when one pooed on the floor, this little wooden bungalow that she had in Africa, what she'd do is she'd make it confront its own poo, spank it on the bottom, and throw it out the window. And
This is ground floor, yeah?
it's I said bungalow, yes. So she did that twice, and then the third time she saw one poo, slap its own bottom, and jump out the window. I think you'd have been really good. And you kind of go...
That's not dissimilar to my daughter's nearly 4, right? And,
Save her embarrassment
they're all,
for future
She'll be
shows.
fine. I won't tell you which one. I've got twins.
Oh, fine.
She's, you know, if there's a point where they're slapping each other and fighting, and you go, right, get on the naughty step. There's a point where she's so annoyed that she will just slap her sister, you know, in the face or whatever, and then just go and get on the naughty step herself.
Oh.
And sort of sit there with her face saying, it was worth it.
Yeah.
That's very good. Very good. Excellent. Cows?
Why would you need to?
Well, you say that, but there are more than 50 a year.
Really?
Injuries caused by cows.
50 idiots.
Particularly calving mothers. They can get more aggressive than bulls.
fair enough,
We're
because
afraid
they-
of bulls, but actually cows are, yeah.
But presumably, if you're putting your arms up a cow's nunny to pull a calf out,
Yes.
she's allowed to kick you in the face.
Oh, well, there'll be a bit of that. I don't think we're talking about that. No, we're talking about...
Ramblers.
Actually, yeah, ramblers. And what happens is particularly dogs tease them. The cow then gets aggressive with the dog and chases the dog, and the dog, of course, yelps back to its owner.
Yes.
And then the cow will hurt the owner.
They crowd you, don't they? And then if you
Yeah.
fall down, you get trampled.
Yeah.
So get
So
the
you
hell
need
out.
to scarper.
Yeah, you do need to scarper, is
Yeah.
the answer, yeah. So, how do you get an ant to keep still? Sarah.
Stop the music.
Play that, that's very good. Do you know, by any chance, who was the first person accurately to portray small insects? Most famously, the flea, which is a very recognisable image, which is the cover of his book, Micrographia. He was a remarkable scientist, town planner. He has a law named after him of tension and springs. He was a contemporary of Newton and Christopher Wren. He was responsible for much of the town planning after the fire of London. And he used a microscope to see animals, including this little flea, and an ant. And there it is, which he was an amazing artist, as you can see. And he describes precisely how he got the ant to keep still. He said, I gave it a gill of brandy, which after a while knocked him down dead drunk. He struggled, wonderful phrase this, for a pretty while very much.
Sounds like he was drinking
For a
something
pretty
else.
while very much. Till
One
at
for you,
last,
one for me.
till at last certain bubbles issuing out of its mouth, it ceased to move and remained moveless for a good while. Moveless, yeah. Well, it was in 1665 the book came out,
Well
Micrographia.
done.
A gill, by the way, is a quarter of a pint.
Wow.
They can hold their booze, can't they, ants?
Yeah.
8 times their body weight.
But what was this man's name? Remember? Audience?
Remember.
Robert Hooke. Well, yeah, Ian Robertson shouted that. Ian Robinson is a physicist, that's cheating. But yes, Robert Hooke. And he suffered, as many did, although he was one of the greatest geniuses who ever lived. Isaac Newton was a really thoroughly ghastly man. And he particularly hated Hooke and had him erased from history, because anybody who wasn't Newton was just not good enough. And all the portraits of him he got rid of, because he was so powerful, Newton, because he was such a genius and so recognised around the world. And an artist named Rita Greer has set herself the task of creating more portraits of Hooke than there are of Newton to redress the
Really?
balance. And here's one. It's based on meticulously researched likenesses of him. There are now 20 in the world, as opposed to 16 of Newton. So Hooke
Really?
has won, though obviously Newton was
did
a
this,
truly
was it?
great man.
He was a bit of a wrong un.
I'm afraid he was.
A terrible egomaniac.
Total egomaniac.
Gravity.
Very, I mean,
Go to your head.
yeah.
You looks like he's had a few gills of whiskey there.
He does, doesn't he? It doesn't look as if he's had much sun.
Look, it's 2 little ants missing in a pub. Hello, Mr. Bradley. I love you. No, I love you.
Well, there you go. How hard is it to be a nude model? Don't you remember that,
Oh, that was a good night.
It's the woman second from the left who seems to be most enjoying the view. The one with the orange scarf.
Were you
He's going to need a bigger pad than that.
They're all just drawing sections of you, aren't they?
I'll do the helmet.
Yeah.
Were you being funny there, or...?
That's not really him.
Oh, it's not real.
No,
I assumed
Bless you.
that you would be funny naked. I'm sorry, Alan.
funny naked.
Well, that's what I can see.
Yes, you say what you see.
Yeah.
But there is actually a Register of Artists' Models, RAM, that looks after the interests of models. And it thinks that the idea that life modelling is a breeze is completely wrong. To keep still for a long while,
You
it's
get
very, very
pins
hard.
and needles and cramp.
Pins and needles, cramp. So you have to do one thing at a time. You start with short poses called gestures, bold, action-oriented poses, which are used as a warm-up. And then you go 2 minutes, then 5 minutes, and then eventually 30 plus. There's more work for women than men. The classes prefer them, and there are more of them in the market, it appears. And in 1998, a man called George Bond took Northampton College to an industrial tribunal, claiming that he was not being employed on the basis of his gender and that it was sexual discrimination. In fact, they were able to demonstrate that it was personal. And the reason was he couldn't hold a pose, he fidgeted, went to the loo too often, had a background in erotic films which troubled the A-level students, particularly one 16-year-old at whom he winked when she was drawing.
Wait, what did he wink
claimed
with?
he was squinting. Oh, what did he wink with? Well, he said that. He explained to them he didn't have glasses, so he was squinting, but he did also improvise a pose which involved sticking his bottom into the air, which was described by some students as giving an unfortunate view. So,
They didn't want him. They didn't want him there. They didn't
no,
want
they
to draw
just
him.
didn't want George there.
Get out, George.
So he lost the case. But there are contentious issues described by the Register of Artists' Models. And contentious issues include raids on studios by amusing non-art students who just want to see a nudie person.
Yes.
It's very silly. A warning against passing window cleaners. Yeah. And their policy is to suspend any member, that's an odd way of phrasing it, who gets an erection during a sitting. When I say suspend any member,
a member?
I mean...
Right, OK, yeah.
Suspend yourself, wouldn't
They
you?
are forced out of the
You'd
register.
have to say, all right, I'll get my coat.
Right, yeah.
And I'll just hang it over the...
He's like being struck off then, is it?
Yes, basically it is, yeah.
You
You're
can
struck
never
off
be
the
a nude
register.
model
You can't ever
if
be.
you can't control yourself.
Absolutely. Well,
there you
there you
go.
are. That's RAM. Now, a question about keeping quiet. How quiet is the quietest place in the world?
Well, quiet.
Well,
Is it... There's an anechoic chamber somewhere in America, is it?
there is. There's one in Britain, too.
And there's one here,
Yeah.
which is it's just completely devoid of all sound.
Yeah.
And it sort of absorbs sound when you go in it.
That's right. It's at the University of Salford, and it is minus 12.4 decibels. As you can see there, it's got all these sort of wedges and things to stop any kind of echoing. Actually, there's a hemi-anechoic chamber with a reverberation chamber as well in the National Physical Laboratory. And I went there and I recorded myself popping a balloon first in the reverberation chamber and then in the hemi-anechoic chamber, which is slightly less than a full anechoic, but it's still pretty bloody amazoid. Did I just say amazoid?
You really did.
Oh, God, I'm sad. Hang on. I am in the reverberation chamber. It's extraordinary. Wow. Going to burst the balloon now. So remember that.
Right. That's the balloon.
That's the reverberation chamber.
Okay.
It's still going.
That was fantastic.
your face in there, weren't you?
And now I am in a hemi-anechoic chamber. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Flat sound. How exciting is that?
There we are.
That is amazing.
Thank you to the National Physical Laboratory. So, who has the world's biggest mouth?
Blue whale.
Oh, the strange thing is, you're so close. The blue whale's the biggest animal on Earth that's ever been. It's the second biggest. Has the biggest mouth, oddly enough.
Another whale, a different sort of
It's
whale.
another whale, yes. It's usually found in the Arctic, under the ice pack. It's a hugely slow animal, beautiful. One was found recently that had an 1870s harpoon in it. It was still alive. They live a very long time.
Good gosh.
Huge things. They've got a lovely smile on their face that is curved, a bit like a bow. So they're known as bowhead whales. Aren't they marvellous? Beautiful. The idea of killing them, just, but they have the most blubber of any whale.
That's probably why he's not so happy.
But the bowhead has a unique organ in its mouth. It's really nothing quite like it. It's the only thing that you could say is like it, frankly. There's its baleen plates, the sort of hairy, feathery bits that it sieves food with.
Wow.
But the bit underneath that isn't a tongue is actually more like a penis. And I know that sounds silly, but it's...
Sounds great.
Well, yes.
I suppose you just think that, sorry.
It is a sort of material, I mean, a fleshy material that engorges... It engorges with blood and becomes absolutely huge
Erect.
with blood and erect in its mouth.
Yes.
And it cools it, because it takes all the blood right up and it pushes it out and gets the water out of it. So when it overheats, it's all this water goes... And all its blood is in its sort of mouth cock, if you could call it that. Way of cooling its brain. It's the corpus cavernosum maxillaris, is its proper name.
Mouth
but it's a tissue. It opens the mouth, the Arctic water flows in,
Mouth organ.
cools the organ, and that cools its brain. So it's a kind of 12-foot long penis in its mouth. 12-foot long. I mean, it's like a lamppost in
I don't think he's a member of the Ram Society.
So it's like its own thermostat then, really. So
Yes,
it's
absolutely, a cooling system. So, anyway, there's your bowhead whale. Now, that brings us to the business of the scores. You might say, damn, it's close. In first place, with -7, it's Bill Bailey. And second equal, with -9, it's Jason and Sarah.
Oh, wow.
Fourth place with -10 is the audience. But our runaway loser with -27 is Alan Davies. So it's thanks from Sarah, Jason, Bill, Alan and me. You all keep in touch now. You hear? Goodbye.
Our well-deserved two-week break for QI here on BBC Two. It's back on the 29th of November. A-listers sprinkled all over